Veterans around the area received some much-needed help today through the Athens area standout. The Nobel Peace Prize was awarded today. We'll tell you who received the honor. And in sports, the Indians have thrown out the first pitch. We'll update you on how they're doing. Newswatch starts right now.
Broadcasting live from WOUB TV in Athens, this is Newswatch.
The Athens community is coming together to help veterans in need. Good evening, I'm Marisa Oberly. Thanks for joining us. Athens Area Standout is a program designed to help veterans combat life on the street. Reporter Jacob Solleather was at today's event and has more on the story. We apologize for that. It seems that we have some technical issues. But anyway, so the Standout event, it happens every fall because what they want to do is provide families with the services that they need to help better prepare them for the winter. But anyways, an Ohio University airplane is back in Athens after dropping off supplies to Puerto Rico. The plane left for Florida on Wednesday. They picked up supplies and then flew the plane to Puerto Rico yesterday morning. Air pilot Nick Lather says the supplies were dropped off and then they were able to evacuate 9 people off of the island. Lather says supplies are needed, but the main problem is getting people off of the island. And a former Athens resident faces 5 years of community control and an 18-month prison sentence for breaking into the Islamic Center of Athens last March. Thomas Sachs pled guilty to breaking and entering and safecracking earlier this week. Both charges are felonies, and in addition, Sachs must stay away from the Islamic Center. And an Athens man is filing a lawsuit against Health Recovery Services and 2 of its nurses. Victor Haynes is accusing them of negligence, a claim that Health Recovery Services denies. Haynes says he suffered permanent foot damage after failed attempts to treat a nerve injury and skin condition. The lawsuit seeks at least $25,000. And an Ohio judge is back to work after being shot outside of the courthouse 7 weeks ago. Jefferson County Judge Joseph Brzez returned to his courtroom yesterday. He handled arraignments and a sentencing. In August, Nate Richmond shot Brzez outside of the Steubenville courthouse. Brzez fired back, but a probation officer shot and killed Richmond. Investigators are still looking for that motive. And after a decade of neglect, a 100-year-old Athens church may finally be getting its groove back. Marianne Dodson has that story.
It's moldy.
Mold and mildew.
It's disheveled.
Completely rotted away.
And it's hardly fit for a Sunday sermon.
I mean, you can see the damage everywhere.
Right. But the Mount Zion Baptist Church still has that special something.
You can just sit in the pews and feel, for me, I can feel and hear my ancestors speak and praising the Lord.
Ada Woodson Adams has been going to the church since she was a little girl. And while Mount Zion helped her in her spiritual journey, she also credits it as being the center of her social life.
It was very important to have that nucleus of extended family, people you can count on and depend on.
And if the people were the nucleus, then the church itself was the cell, becoming a building block for some of the most important moments in Adams's life.
So when my wedding came along, there was no question about it.
From baptisms to weddings to funerals, Mount Zion has seen the same events cycle through each year. But soon, it will see something new.
At an absolute bare minimum, a roof's got to be put on this building very quickly.
Ron Luce is the treasurer for the Mount Zion Baptist Church Preservation Society, a group dedicated to bringing the church back to its former glory. The past few years involved the church in a hard-fought custody battle, with the Preservation Society emerging as the ultimate winner this year.
The initial feeling was just one of great relief and pleasure that we have a good chance of saving this building.
But the work that went into getting the ownership rights to the church didn't end there.
Because we knew it was going to be expensive. We knew it's going to take a lot of work.
The estimated bill for the renovations comes close to $1 million. It's a pretty penny to pay for an abandoned church building. But for former churchgoers like Ada, the renovations are a part of a much bigger picture.
Adams and her late husband resettled in the Athens area in 1999, wanting to come back to the place that started it all.
God works in mysterious ways. because who would have thought that I would be, and Al would be coming here to save the church where we were married and where I was baptized.
And even for Luce, who never saw Mount Zion in its former glory, just being inside the church is an inexplicable experience.
Sometimes buildings have a personality, and this one has that. It just feels so comfortable and at home, and I don't know, I don't even know how to describe it.
It's hard to describe such a special place, especially when that place has lived a life of its own. I'm Marianne Dotson, reporting.
And members of the Preservation Society will be at a meeting tomorrow at the Multicultural Genealogical Center in Chester Hill at 1 p.m. Now we have a very special guest joining us today for weather. Alumni Ann Jacob is at the desk. So Ann, how are things looking?
Hey Marisa, thanks. I'm at the Weather Forecast Center. I'm Ann Jacob. Welcome home, Bobcats. Happy homecoming. We've got a wonderful weather forecast for the weekend. Right now, we're sitting at about 76 degrees, and that temperature is going to rise throughout the weekend. We'll be seeing temperatures around the area looking 75 in New Lexington, 81 down in Ironton, and 78 in New Martinsville. Now those temperatures, like I said, are going to stick around till Saturday. Overnight, we're not going to be moving far away from that. We're going to be at about 58 in Athens. Shouldn't be any problems for rain or any heavy winds, a little bit of humidity, so be sure to dress warm. Up in Newark, it's going to be around 60 degrees, and down south in Ironton, we're going to be around 61 degrees. And temperatures in the area are still high. The weekend forecast is coming up, and I have more on that homecoming forecast coming up. Marisa, back to you.
Thanks, Ann, and once again, welcome back. Thanks. So the Ohio Department of Health says infant mortality rates are decreasing over time. However, Ohio's overall infant mortality rate increased by 0.2% from 2015 to 2016. The number of infants who died before reaching their first birthday increased from 1,005 in 2015 to 1,024 in 2016. There were fewer sleep-related infant deaths in 2016, likely because of initiatives to promote safe sleep practices. And more natural gas power plants will be built right here in Ohio. Yesterday, the Ohio Power Sitting Board approved plans for 2 separate projects in Guernsey and Trumbull County. The projects are planned to begin operating in 2020. They will use gas from Appalachian shale fields and turn it into electricity. A unit of Kentucky Army National Guard soldiers are on their way to the U.S. Virgin Islands to help with hurricane relief operations. The 120 soldiers departed from the Kentucky Air National Guard base in Louisville. The Guardsmen will serve under a joint National Guard task force helping the islands in the wake of Hurricanes Irma and Maria. Well, the Marching 110 is celebrating its 50th anniversary, and the Nobel Peace Prize was awarded today. How the group is promoting unity around the world. These stories and more when Newswatch returns.
These students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, this is it. And she said, the tour's just started. I said, no, you don't understand. This is it.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
We have that package from earlier in our newscast that wasn't able to air, but anyways, it's about the Athens Area Stand Down program, and it's designed to help veterans combat life on the street. Now, reporter Jacob Solleather has that story.
Here, individuals and families who are homeless or at risk of becoming homeless sift through supplies they need like clothing, cosmetics, footwear, blankets, and sleeping bags. The Athens Area Stand Down is an intervention program that offers many services, including health screenings, benefit and housing information, job search information, and legal services. Athens City Auditor Kathy Heck is the event organizer. Heck says Veterans Court Judge George McCarthy got the ball rolling last year by creating a committee to work with local organizations in hopes of having a big turnout.
And so now we work with these representatives from the VA hospital in Chillicothe and our VA clinic here in Athens. We work with the judge and his Veterans Court people. We have a lot of social service agencies represented, Job and Family Services, legal aid, public defenders. We're working with HAPCAP, Community Action, on transit, and it's free in Athens today. The city, and they partnered to allow that so people could get here.
Robert Zimmerman is a local veteran and event volunteer. He says the event is great for bringing the Athens community together.
That means a lot. I mean, it's good for the community to help each other out. All this stuff is donated by different people and different groups and organizations that can come together and help the people that really need it.
The amount of services was a bit overwhelming for some in attendance. Air Force veteran George Stipes of Perry County has recently become homeless and was there to get food and housing assistance.
It was really overwhelming, so I really appreciate everything that everybody's done today.
This is Athens' second year hosting the event, and the turnout was greater this time around. Reporting for Newswatch, I'm Jacob Solleather.
The Stand Down event is held every fall so that services can better prepare individuals and families for the winter. And the Department of Health and Human Services issued new rules on contraceptives today. The two rules allow employers to withhold birth control coverage on religious or moral grounds. Hundreds of entities have filed legal action over the Affordable Care Act's contraceptive mandate, saying the mandate violates religious liberties. Policy experts believe the new rules could lead to more employers dropping birth control coverage. The National Women's Law Center says over 55 million U.S. women are on birth control with no out-of-pocket costs. And the international campaign to abolish nuclear weapons was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize today. The decision comes in the midst of high tensions over North Korea's nuclear weapons testing, as well as a discussion from President Trump regarding the Iran nuclear deal. ICANN is a coalition of non-governmental organizations from 100 counties. They helped pave the way for a United Nations treaty in July that banned the weapons, according to the BBC. The treaty prohibits several types of nuclear activity, including the manufacture and possession of nuclear weapons.
Very important that we missed. It's supposed to stigmatize and remove the prestige of nuclear weapons. We will not come to disarmament unless we agree as an international community that we do not want these weapons, that they do not provide safety and security. So I think that this treaty will put nuclear weapons together with other weapons of mass destruction.
The Nobel Peace Prize is awarded each year to someone who have done the most or the best work for fraternity between nations, for the abolish of reduction of standing armies, and for the holding and promotion of peace congresses. In the wake of the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history, people are coming together to honor the victims at vigils large and small. Karen Kafa is in Las Vegas with the latest.
Las Vegas is a city in mourning. Memorials have sprung up around the city. Along South Las Vegas Boulevard near the iconic Welcome to Fabulous Las Vegas sign, a somber sight. Crosses bearing the name of each victim killed in the massacre Sunday night. Another memorial sits on the median of a road near the site of the shooting. It sees a steady stream of visitors, some of whom come from the other side of the world.
Absolutely amazing and warranted. It's been on everybody's mind. We've been thinking about this ever since 3-4 days ago.
This as investigators continue to examine the life of the man who committed the crime. A law enforcement official says shooter Stephen Paddock recently tried to buy tracer ammunition, which would allow him to see who he was hitting in the darkness. Vigils continue in Las Vegas. Thousands turned out to honor Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Officer Charleston Hartfield, who was working to get others to safety when a bullet struck and killed him Sunday night.
This was a man who demanded respect. There was something about the way he carried himself, an aura, if you will. I could tell he was a leader among men.
A grieving city leading the nation in sorrow, but also determination to carry on. In Las Vegas, I'm Karen Kafa.
Well, the most exciting band in the land has a big reason to celebrate this weekend. That story's still ahead.
And be sure to stick around. I'll tell you whether you need an umbrella or sunscreen for the parade and game tomorrow.
Professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like I'm having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous. Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
Hey everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Welcome back to the Newswatch Weather Center. I'm your forecaster, Ann Jacob. We're having a great homecoming weekend right now. Right now, temperatures are sitting at around 78 degrees. Those temperatures are going to continue through the weekend. The homecoming weekend will be sitting around 76 to around 84 degrees. Now, temperatures currently are at 80 degrees. That humidity is pretty high. It's sitting around 46%, and winds at around 8 miles an hour. It will provide you a cool breeze while you're out and about on Court Street. Temperatures around the area right now, 75 in New Lexington, 80 here in Athens, and 81 down in Ironton. Looking at temperatures for the daily almanac, today high was 80, and the low is expected to be 57 later on today. Normally, we're sitting much lower at this time of year, around 67 degrees, and lows around 45 degrees. We are experiencing much warmer temperatures this year around this time, and record temperatures. We didn't hit it today, 89 degrees as our high and 28 degrees as our low. Now looking around for our fall foliage, we are experiencing pretty nice change of colors here in Athens. We are around the orange area, and as temperatures continue to warm up, we will see more reds and changing colors in the leaves. Now looking at your football forecast for tomorrow, the game is at 2 o'clock. 71 degrees is going to be your temperature around that time. Cloudy skies, but be sure to grab a jacket. It won't be too cold, but those temperatures will be dropping a little later on into the evening, so be sure to grab a jacket for that. Tonight in Athens, we will be around 58 degrees, mostly cloudy skies and variable winds. It should be pretty warm, so no need to be grabbing a heavy jacket or anything like that. Temperatures overnight, like I said, 60s, low 50s are going to be temperatures around the area. We got a low of 57 down in Ripley and highs of 61 in Columbus. But temperatures for the homecoming parade are expected to be very warm. In the early morning hours, we will be sitting around 56 degrees. You might want to grab a light jacket, but those temperatures will be very warm because it will be very sunny. No need to worry about the rain. Those temperatures will increase throughout the day to 84 degrees by the time you get to the homecoming game. So instead of an umbrella or a warm jacket, be sure to grab some sunscreen and a bottle of water to stay warm. And that's all I have for you. Marisa, back to you.
Thanks, Ann. Well, some alumni in Athens say it's like Christmas time, but that's what the Marching 110 calls homecoming weekend. Hundreds of the band's alumni traveled to Athens to participate in the homecoming parade and football game halftime show. This year, it's a special homecoming. It's the 110's 50th anniversary. The band made alumni register to participate for the first time, and Mark Rose traveled all the way from California.
It's phenomenal. We do it every year. I do it every year. I've been to every homecoming since '91, except for one. And we look forward to it every year. I love it. I get to see friends that I only get to see once a year.
We do not have more weather right now for you. Marisa?
OU School of Music is also celebrating its 100th anniversary. If you can't make it to Athens, stay with us and we'll tell you how to see the band.
Here for sports, it's homecoming week at Ohio University. We'll take a look at what the Bobcats will have to do to beat Central Michigan. Plus, the Cleveland Indians are playing in the American League Division Series right now. The recap of last night's game, plus the current score, next on Newswatch.
Buddy, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.
Ohio University students really have a huge sense of pride in our campus, in our school, and in our education.
People don't come to Ohio just to go to college. They come here to become a Bobcat.
It's a really unique atmosphere.
Bobcat pride is having that natural camaraderie.
Bobcats are just happy to be Bobcats.
My favorite time of year at Ohio has to be homecoming.
When the alumni come back, you can see that the love of this university doesn't fade.
Once you're a Bobcat, you're always a Bobcat.
My professors really care. They care about my grades, they care about my opportunities, they care about my experiences, they want me to succeed.
They give those opportunities to the students.
My professors have been extremely approachable.
Literally, their door is always open.
You can go to them with pretty much anything.
Everyone knows your first and your last name and where you sit in the classroom.
I really never feel like I'm being talked down to or just being taught material. I always feel like we're having a conversation.
And they want to share those opportunities and those experiences with us.
I knew that I wanted to come to Ohio University from the very first time I visited here.
There's something about the campus that grabs you.
It was really comforting.
Very welcoming.
It's one thing to write down your name and your GPA and that kind of stuff and send it in. It's another thing entirely to be here and see how great it is.
The campus here is just electric.
Absolutely gorgeous.
Everything just looked really college-like.
I looked at my mom and I said, "This is it." And she said, "The tour's just started." I said, "No, you don't understand. This is it."
The weekend just started, but Ohio sports are in full swing. I'm Rachel Cherry. The Cleveland Indians are in the American League Division Series, and they had a great start yesterday. But not before the Yankees could show a little sass on Twitter. The Yankees account tweeted a picture of LeBron holding a Yankees hat. But the Indians got the last laugh. The big play came when Cleveland's Jay Bruce had a 2-run homer to extend the lead to 3-0. But Trevor Bauer was the star of the game. He received a standing ovation after leaving the pitcher's mound. The Indians lead the series 1-0 after last night's 0 win, but the Yankees are leading the game currently right now 6-3. And the Blue Jackets started its regular season tonight. Columbus faces the New York Islanders in Nationwide Arena. The puck drops at 7, and the Blue Jackets will travel to Chicago tomorrow to go against the Blackhawks. OU football will take on Central Michigan for tomorrow's homecoming game. Russ Heltman and Blake Baker preview the matchup.
Defeated in 2011, and one that has really given Coach Solich trouble. He's 1-7 all time against the Chippewas. What's the first key to breaking that trend, Blake?
Yeah, not to mention that the Chippewas have won the last 3 matchups, and a big piece that the Bobcats will have to end that trend is going to be pressuring the quarterback, Shane Morris. The Bobcats have just 2 sacks over the past 2 weeks, a really good team up front, so that's, kind of concerning. A little more havoc up front in Shane Morris's face is going to help that secondary that's played really well, and this is a Central Michigan team that really puts a lot of emphasis on the pass. 1,400 passing yards compared to 700 rushing yards, so you see where their priorities lie. Ohio has 13 sacks, good for second in the MAC, and that's the most Central Michigan has seen since week 1. And the last time Ohio was at home, remember, they have 5 sacks against Kansas, so this looks like an area that they could really improve on and really make some noise in going forward.
For the full preview, follow Bobcats Sports Showcase on Twitter and Facebook. And the football team isn't the only OU sport with games during homecoming weekend. Field hockey just finished their game against Longwood. They lost 2-1. The women's swimming and diving teams start their season with an intra-squad meet tomorrow morning. Women's volleyball, soccer, and field hockey will all travel. Volleyball faces Eastern Michigan tomorrow on Sunday. Soccer will go against Akron, and field hockey will go against Indiana. Make sure you tune into WOUB at 11:30 for Gridiron Glory. This week, we have reporters getting coverage for 6 games. Up first, we have the Tri-Valley Scotties going against the Sheridan Generals. There will be a TVC Ohio matchup between Wellston Golden Rockets and NY Buckeyes. The Southern Tornadoes will travel to Trimble, and John Marshall will go against the Warren Warriors. Hillsboro will host Washington Courthouse, while Uniota travels to Southeastern. You can get game updates by following the hashtag GridGlory on Twitter. I'm Rachel Cherry, and that's it for sports. Back to you, Abby.
Thanks, Rachel. Well, Ohio University's homecoming is this weekend, and tomorrow before that big football game at 2 o'clock, you can watch the homecoming parade live stream on WOUB.org. Now let's get a look at that weather one last time, and how will the weather be for the game and the parade?
Marisa, let's start with weather for the parade. It's going to be beautiful out. We're going to start out around 80 to 70 degrees in the morning, and as the day moves on, we're going to get to around 80 degrees for the game. Happy homecoming to all the Bobcats out there. Marisa, back to you.
Well, that does it for our broadcast this evening. Thank you for watching. I'm Marisa Oberly, and stay tuned for PBS NewsHour coming up. And remember, you can find us online at WOUB.org. Have a great night.
Everybody, I'm Gridiron Glory host Joseph Payton. Every Friday night, live at 11:30, we will have a jam-packed show for you with everything that went down on the local gridiron that night. From every touchdown pass to every crushing hit, Gridiron Glory is your #1 source for all things Southeast Ohio football. So please be sure to tune into our show and also follow us on Twitter and Snapchat at Gridiron Glory, and of course like us on Facebook. I promise you won't want to miss out, because remember, there's nothing better than Friday nights and Gridiron Glory.